Okay, it looks like we are recording. So a little bit of a different look today. It is raining again, and I was not in the mood to go outside in the rain, so I decided to use my laptop this time. I really like using my phone better. I just think it's a better quality. So you guys can chime in on that one. It just feels better, but it's important to me to get the messages that you guys need. So if you guys are listening to this, make sure you put in the comments whenever you, even if you watch this in replay, just pop in the comments if you can hear it, if you know it's very jarring, just so the next time I can make all sorts of changes, because I really want to make sure that I am getting you guys the messaging that you need very clearly so you can use it. So I've mentioned EFT a couple times in my live streams. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. You'll also hear it referred to as tapping. There's already out there a whole bunch of information about tapping. If you start Googling in terms of healing work and releasing blocks and releasing mental issues, the premise of it is you utilize the messaging that you are already telling yourself, and through various acupuncture points, you start to release and calm that message, and you move from the really intense critical messaging to a more understanding messaging, and finally to a positive, more healing messaging. And in that course, you feel a release in your body and how everything is relaxed. In humans, in our brains, we still have that, that reptilian brain part of us, that when we come in contact with something that is dangerous or that frightens us or that's an immediate issue, danger, we react. And we react from our subconscious. That's something that's programmed in it. It's something that's been programmed with us to keep us safe. So it's just how we're made to react a certain way when we sense danger. It's like breathing. It's like your heartbeat. You can't. It's internally. So they have found that there's 3 things that humans do when faced with a dangerous situation. It used to be only 2. But now they've tacked on a 3rd one, and I agree for those that tack that on, and I'll tell you a story about that later. So the three things that humans do when faced with danger: we run, we bear down and get ready to like whoop on something, or we freeze. So flight, fright, or freeze. These are our 3 choices. Either you're going to get ready to like beat down, you're going to get ready to run, or you're just going to freeze altogether. Freeze in the wilderness does not work as well. Maybe that's why they didn't count it as part of the survival techniques, because honestly, freeze will get you killed. Like that'll get you eaten. So they didn't really notice, but it is something that we do when it's just so terrifying. We don't do anything and we freeze. But that is an option that could happen. The subconscious reactions to that you have experienced many times whenever you're faced with something scary. Your heartbeat rises, you may or may not sweat, you're shaking, and you don't want to eat because your body's getting ready. It's shutting everything else down so it can create laser focus to doing what needs to get done to keep you alive. Right? So it's not a bad system. The trouble with this bad system is we react like that to everything that we find dangerous. In our world now, there are some things that we have programmed in our subconscious that aren't the same level of danger as a bear coming after you to like kill you and eat you. But for us, because of the messaging that we've gotten over the years, because of the stories that we're telling ourselves about what's safe, what's not safe, what you can expect, we'll still react to those same danger triggers with the same mechanisms that we already have. You can only use the tools and mechanisms you have to react to things, which is why getting a coach is so important. And I'll keep harping on that. So getting a mindset coach is so important to help show you other ways, to teach you other ways to incorporate into your toolbox to react. Because if you only know one way to react and that way is not serving you and it's kind of dysfunctional and like makes things harder for you, then you're going to need some different tools in your toolkit. You still have to use the tools, but it's helpful to have someone guide you. So going back, you have your 3 mechanisms for danger, and now you're utilizing those mechanisms. They're not dangerous like a bear, but internally they feel dangerous to you because you're still operating on the same stories and mechanisms and issues that you dealt with when you were a child. When we're children, we are highly dependent on the people around us because we are vulnerable beings. We have to find food. We have to find shelter. We have to cover our bodies from the elements. We have to be protected from animals and other dangers. Babies and children are very vulnerable parts of society. And when you're little, the same stories that were inserted in you were life and death. Because if you felt that you would be ejected from the tribe, if you felt that your family was going to disapprove, if you felt the community was going to disapprove, as a child and baby, if you are rejected from the community, that is life and death. So now just putting the story together, you get stories, injured trauma, you get the things that are installed in you into your subconscious when you were a young age, when those things were dangerous in life and death. As you get older and you're stronger and you can take care of yourself, but those same messages are in there and they're in your subconscious. So you don't even realize that you're following them. What happens is when you start to come across things that you deem are dangerous based on your storyline, the subconscious also kicks in the automatic response to danger: flight, fright, or freeze. Because that's what it's programmed to do. It's not programmed to analyze, wait, hold on, this actually isn't dangerous. I think we can handle this. Not until the conscious mind says, hey, by the way, we're cool with this. We can make this happen. But if you don't even know that it's going on because it's in your subconscious, then you can't give it anything else to go by. It's programmed in. So unless you change the coding, change the wiring, it's going to keep going. So what happens is when we are faced with things that we have deemed are dangerous, whether or not they're actually dangerous, getting injected, getting rejection letters, being afraid of people not loving you, getting afraid that you're not going to be valued, all these things that can trigger a response in your body and your subconscious can cause trouble and cause a response through flight, fright, or fear, or freeze. So where tapping comes in, using acupuncture points and using the wording of the messaging that you're hearing, you start to hit the parts of your body to, instead of triggering a response in terms of a danger, you start to take down your body's reaction point by point by point until you can feel yourself relax, and then you can start to actually deal with whatever it is that is faced in front of you and start reprogramming that messaging with more positive messaging. Which is why I say it's a really great tool to release blocks. Because once you start getting a different messaging and your body is bringing down its natural response to danger and you start to relax, now your subconscious says, oh, okay, wait. This response that I had before should not trigger this response. This is not scary, so we want to trigger this response. Okay, great, got it. And then those same things that were triggering you won't trigger you as much. You can use tapping, EFT technique, whatever. I'm going to call it tapping probably for the rest of this video. You can use tapping for a lot of different tools. My specialty, obviously, is working with creative entrepreneurs. Like, that's what I love to do. So I use this on my clients to help with their blocks in terms of how they can go out into the world to use their creativity. You can use it to find ways to be more creative. I do find creative entrepreneurs, people who are making a living on what they create, tend to have a different set of issues that they're working for, and a lot of blocks, usually around value and worth and how people react to you. Are you part of the tribe? So creatives are fun because we specialize in looking at the world from different angles. We specialize in being quirky, creative, like different and unique, because we are taking information that people might have missed and we're looking at it in a different way. We're putting it in a different angle, holding it up to a light in a different way, and presenting it differently. We synthesize it to make people think in a different way. So automatically that means we're kind of different. Different when you're younger, different means being bullied. Different when you're younger means you'll be rejected from your group or tribe if you don't have a supportive network. So different when you're younger, depending on your growing up, means something unique to you. And these are the things that you're working through. I have seen people give up whole careers. Brilliant artists in various streams, like brilliant artists that would not even dare to show anyone their work. And I'm honored that they showed it to me and shared it with me. I'm very honored with that they love and trust me enough to share it. And when I see that, it breaks my heart though, because I'm like, do you even understand how much this would change someone's life and affect someone? Think of, as a creative person, think of your favorite type of art and how it moves you. Think of your favorite song or your favorite movie or your favorite painting, or how you look at someone's house that is well organized. And think of the things that inspire you and give you goosebumps and bring you to tears. And imagine the person that did that for you last decided that they were never going to go out there and share their stuff with anybody. Or decided, you know what, I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to make a living out of it, and so I can't afford to do it, so I'm just not going to do it at all. And you would never have that experience. So it's really important. That's why I do this, because I just think it's so vital in the world for creative people to be out in the world and functioning and treated and valued like the amazing members of society they are. So that's why I do what I do. And that's why you should hire a coach to help go through and dismantle this. So what it does, the tapping takes it down from like high stress, high everything, where you can't even think. When you're in that zone, you can't even think. So true story. I worked through it and it's much better now. But I have a huge challenge around singing. It's funny because in my creative venues, I'm an actor and also I play percussion, but mostly acting and painting, as you see by my painting lady. But it's mostly the acting part. So I love to talk. Talk. No issues with talking, no issues with delivering speeches, no issues standing in front of a group of people and speaking a message very clearly. But for some reason, whenever I would stand up to sing by myself, all hell broke loose. And when I mean all hell broke loose, I would get so nervous that literally no air would come out of my throat and I couldn't even breathe. And nothing would come out, nothing, not even like a croak. It'd be like, and ever since the first time I tried to audition for something. Once I get cast, because sometimes, you know, people that know me really well, know my stage presence and know my work ethic, they'll put me in a chorus, they'll put me somewhere. And once I get cast, everything's fine. And I work well with the rest of the company, my voice blends, and it's fine. Like I could sing fine. It's just that audition process when you're just by yourself and singing. And for years, I just assumed it's because I couldn't sing. I said, I must not be able to sing. There must be something wrong with my voice. There must be something wrong with my vocal cords that I go through this. That was the only explanation I could come up with. And so I didn't. And I love singing. Like, seriously, you guys, I love musicals. I love being in musicals. I love dancing. I always lose weight when I'm in musicals. So I'm like, hey, yeah, let's have a good time. So what would happen is when I stood in this audition process, just everything would close up. Oh my gosh, hey Glenn. And it's funny, I'm talking about you, Glenn, right now, because you're the one that like pointed this out to me. So my friend Glenn that joined pointed out to me that there's a top part to your vocal cords called the false cords. I had no idea, because I'm like, I'm not going to study my vocal cords. I can't sing. And also I worked with a vocal coach, and she pointed out something so logical. She said, Aisha, you use your vocal cords all the time. It's not like you get a different set of vocal cords when you speak versus when you sing. It's not like they were delivered from on high, like some sort of weird alien amphibian that like comes up and like, oh, here's your speaking vocal cords, and we're going to install the singing. No, it's the same vocal cords. So obviously there's nothing damaged. But what was happening is my body's automatic response to stress and fear. And then doing the mindset work and really rewiring my brain for that, realizing that came from earlier messaging that I received as a child about my abilities to hold my own and stand up in front of people and actually deliver and sing. Because I was actually told every day that like, oh, you're never going to be able to sing. You're never going to be singing. There was no good reason, just because. So all that combined, based on my earlier experiences of attempting something that I'd never done before, all the way to like my almost 30-year career, affected me worse and worse and worse every time. So it wasn't until I can rewire the messaging I was telling myself, until I can change that story subconsciously, it was never going to stop. Yes, I needed to learn new techniques physically, but it wouldn't have mattered because I was so immersed in that automatic response of fear. So that's where EFT comes into play to really help you bring down your stress levels. So let me show you, let me show you the method of it. I'm gonna warn you, it looks kind of weird. It looks weird. Not weird like standing on your head, like with your tongue hanging out, like frothing. It's not that level of weird. But when you see it, just remember it's based on acupuncture points. So you're going to be tapping these points throughout your upper body, and it will release your stress level. The first thing you want to do, first you're going to identify what you're going to tap about. So looking at your inner critic, looking at the stories, looking at the results you want to get in terms of, I'm not making the money I want, I'm afraid to put my artwork out there, I'm afraid to apply, I'm afraid to let people read my play, whatever it is. Pick something that you're going to work on, and that's where you're going to start. Then say to yourself, or with a practitioner, if you're in one of my coaching clients, you're going to say this to me, you're going to figure out on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your stress level around this issue? 10 being the highest, 10 being over the top, I'm in flight, fright, or freeze mode whenever I think about it. I can't even handle it. I can't do it. I can't. I just can't. So that's 10. 1 is, I'm cool. This doesn't even bother me at all. I don't even know why we would talk about it. So put yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. So once you have your scale, and this is important because if you don't already set yourself at the beginning stages, you won't be able to see how much you have brought yourself down, and then you won't know how many rounds tapping to do. So once you do that, the actual tension of it, you're going to take your finger, right or left, it really doesn't matter. If you're right-handed, use your right hand, left hand the other. And you're going to tap. And the tapping looks like this. You take 2 fingers and you tap it as though you're doing Morse code. It's not a light feathery tap. You're not massaging yourself, but it's a tap to be able to feel the pressure points a little bit. So just a really mild tap. You're not going to dig in. You're just tap, tap, tap. It's really that simple. The first point that you tap on is called the karate chop point. The karate chop point is you take your hand and you're looking at the side of your hand opposite of the thumb, right or left, it doesn't matter. So you're looking at this part, this side fleshy part, and that's where you tap your first message. So it looks like this. The first thing actually, let me show you the tapping points first, and then I'll explain to you how you use the points to tap the messaging. So that is your first point, the side of your hand in the karate chop. The next point is at the top of your head, right there on the top of your head, and you just tap that way. The next point is on top of your eyebrows, and you tap there. The next point is to the side of the eyebrows, not in your orbital. Please don't poke out your eyes. Please don't poke out your eyes. To the side of the actual orbital cave on your temples there. The next point, you just slide down underneath your eyes. Once again, don't gouge out your eyes. You need your eyes. They're really helpful. But on that like little fleshy part, that's a great face. I just looked at myself in the screen. That's amazing. I'm going to put that somewhere. I'm going to file that for later. But you're tapping right underneath your eyes at that fleshy point, about ½ inch, I guess, right there. Then you're going to slide down to under your nose. And that's the weirdest part, but like right under your nose. Then you go straight down to under your lips at your chin. It's in that like little divot where your chin, right before your chin like juts out. So right there. Next, I might have to like sit up for a little bit so you can see. Then you're gonna hit your collarbones, just right there, just your collarbones. You just tap, tap, tap right there. And next is the underarm portion. So it's a few inches from your actual underarm. Once again, I'm gonna sit up a little bit. Ladies, if you wear brasiers, it's where your bra strap hits. Gentlemen, if you wear a bra, it's where your bra strap hits. I am working with creatives, so that's the thing. But it's like right there. So a few inches from your armpit in that lymphy node area right there. So that's a whole round. That's one round of tapping. You start with the karate chop, head, top of eyebrows, side of eyes, under eyes, chin, under nose, chin, collarbone, underarm. And you just do that over and over again. You don't have to start from the head. You don't have to. You can start anywhere. If you skip one, if you forget and skip something, it won't matter. It'll still work. It'll still work. There's other tapping areas that you can do. I like to teach everyone this basic, because this is the basic one. But there are other ones you can learn that use your fingers and use other pressure points. So then you can do tapping in public, because you might feel weird like doing that in public. People are like, what are you doing? So those are the points. How it works. You start with the karate chop area, and you start by giving 3 statements based on the negative messaging that you're getting to yourself, and you have to say it. This is why some people love EFT, and this is why it works so much, and some people are terrified of doing it, because it incorporates using all the bad stuff that you keep telling yourself over and over again, and it makes you say it. And some people really hate that, because it's like, no, I'm not supposed to say negative anything. I'm supposed to say positive all the time. I'm supposed to say positive all the time. And as someone who is usually positive, I hear you and I get you, but you stating those negative statements is what makes this such an effective tool. The reality is you are saying those negative statements to yourself. You are saying that damaging messaging to yourself. And I'm guessing up until this point, you have tried to use mantras, you have tried to use super positivity, you've tried to ignore it, you have tried everything you can think of just to block it out and say like, nope, it doesn't exist. And yet you still find yourself in a situation in your life where you are not able to get to the next step, which means subconsciously you are still telling yourself those messaging. If you could let yourself be uncomfortable and tell the messaging out loud to yourself, just say it out loud, even though it's terrifying, even though it hurts. If you let yourself go through it for maybe 30 seconds to a minute of that discomfort, you release it forever. And I'm not kidding when I say release it forever. You release it, it's gone. So trust on this. It's uncomfortable and people really hate this part, and it's snotty tears and it hurts and you just, oh God, you don't want to hear it. But once you do it, it's gone forever. So it's worth 30 seconds to 60 seconds of pain to get rid of something for the rest of life. You've carried it long enough. We need to get rid of it. So you start by saying the negative messaging to yourself of whatever it is. So for me, with my singing, I would say something, even though I am a terrible singer. You start off, and it is cruel. Like, don't hold back. Like, say the things that you're telling yourself, because you're telling yourself that anyway. So say it out loud. Even though I'm a terrible singer, then you add that phrase with, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, or I love myself and I honor my journey, or I cherish the work that I've done so far. So you start with the negative phrase and you say, but you know what? I love myself. So that is the opening sentence for the karate chop. You do that 3 times. So it sounds something like this. Even though I am a terrible singer, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I just suck at singing, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I know that I'm the worst singer, but I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So you do that 3 times. And the whole time you're tapping there. From there, you start going through all the tapping points that I showed you. Each sentence that you say is a different tapping point. So the first round is all negative. Let out everything that has been holding you, but everything that you've said to yourself, all the crappy things that you've said to yourself after the audition, after the rejection letter, after someone asked you and you were so embarrassed, after somebody else got the gig, after you weren't able to pay your rent, whatever it is. Go through each one. Oh my God, that was terrible. I am the worst singer. I don't even know why I bothered to do this. This is terrible. You go through each tapping point over and over again. Sometimes, depending on how bad you're feeling, you might have to do that another round. You might have to do it 3 rounds, but you go through it. And it gets ugly, you guys. I'm just warning you, it gets ugly. I usually cry because I'm uncovering like deep stuff. So, but that's okay, because then I feel great afterwards. I'm like, oh, this doesn't bother me anymore. So that's the first round, or 2 or 3. You'll start to feel a change. How you know when to change to the next section is when you're saying these awful things, but there comes a point when you're saying them that it doesn't ring true. And it'll be a weird situation. Like, you'll start doing it, and then you'll get to a point you're like, but wait a minute. Like, that is excessive. That's why it's important to go all out. Say the most ridiculous, awful things, because you've said some crazy stuff to yourself when you did not do what you thought you were supposed to. Go ahead and say it. There's going to come a point during tapping, you're just like, wait a minute, this is really harsh. Like, this is real harsh. That's when you start moving into phase 2 of the tapping. So after you do those rounds, phase 2 is the logical side. But wait a minute, that last audition was not bad. I actually got through the song, and I know I'm working on it. I'm working with my vocal coach. I didn't choke as much as that. You're going through those logical notes to yourself in the second round. Once again, you might have to do another round of that until you're feeling better about it. But that's the second step. And then the third step is you reinsert it with the positive language. Yay, we're back to positive. I know I can do this. There is nothing wrong with my voice. I am more than capable of doing this. Other people learn to do it, so I can do it too. I'm determined to make this happen. I'm going to nail my next audition. I know I can do this. I know it. Whatever it is, that's your third round of tapping. If you really want to do it again. When you're done with all 3 of those sections, just sit very still for a second and take a deep breath. Take a huge deep breath and let it out. Do that a couple of times. It'll feel really good. You take a couple of deep breaths and you let it out. And then you go back to your number. And sometimes it helps if you write it down, but if it's just you don't have to, if you're good at memorizing numbers. But now, analyze for yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, at what level are you on the anxiety and fear scale? Usually, some people only need this 1 round and you get to like a 1. Sometimes you do it and you're like, okay, I'm about a 3 or 4. So then you breathe again and you do another round, either right then and there or at another time. You do tapping rounds until you get to a 1. You want to get to a point where it doesn't bother you at all. And it really only takes a couple of turns, like 1 or 2. I've heard, I had some really deep ones that took maybe 3, but that was only like one really, really deep one. So, and then it's gone. It's literally gone. Like, I don't talk trash about myself when I audition anymore. And I've gotten through auditions, and I've been able to take the technique work that I needed to do because I could actually focus on it versus like the freak out mode that I was in. Because when you're in that freak out mode, you can't do anything. You can't even think. Your whole body shuts down because it's focused on, I have to protect myself. So you have to calm everything down first before you can learn the actual technique and skill part. So that is tapping, and it really does work. I've had great success with myself and all of my coaching clients when you have big blocks. So using that in conjunction with actually finding the stories, actually identifying, finding those stories and those terrible blocks that you're telling yourself, because that's the first step. You have to see it. You can tap with good success, but it's a lot more effective. Like, it cuts to the chase when you know what you're tapping about. But you'll get some benefit. I'm kind of an overachiever, so I like full on. I like all the benefits, and especially if you're a coaching client, I want you to get like the fastest, most efficient way possible. So taking the time to journal, meditate, write down your story, go through the imagination techniques. The technique I gave earlier today, where you can identify and see the things that your inner critic are saying. Find it first, shine a light on it first, then use the EFT to help release it forever and ever. So that is EFT tapping. So yeah, the next level, I think I'm going to come up with some scripts. You can get scripts that are pre-made to help with tapping. It's always good to use your own words, but while you're working through it, if that makes you uncomfortable, you can find various scripts. So I am working on creating various scripts specific for people that work in creative entrepreneur areas. So directors, actors, writers, painters, dancers, craft people, artisans, costumers, like writers, people that work in creative pursuits for a living. So you have something different than just like business speak and personal development. So hope that helped. Would love to hear your comments, suggestions of other live streams that you want to see. Give it a try. Like, try it. Pick one issue that you are struggling with, give it a number from 1 to 10, and then go through the tapping. You can play this video again. And also, if you Google EFT or tapping, you will find some other resources out there as well. But give it a try on one thing that has been challenging you or been a big, big, big block for you. And give it a try. And I challenge you to put your results down below and let me know how it goes. You can also send me a personal message if you really want to. So yeah, and these are the type of things I work with my clients on. And my next big class is starting July 2nd, I believe. Yes, July 2nd. I'm going to put the link down below in the comments. So if you want to sign up, come join me. The actual agenda for the class, like how it goes, we have group meetings. We actually have phone calls where you get one-on-one time with the rest of the group. I look to take only about 10 people to make sure that everyone gets one-on-one coaching time and really work through some of the items. You can be working on a specific project or a specific issue, or you can just be going all around. But I would love to help you work through these blocks. I just really want to see more creative people working. I do. I want to see more people out there. I just think it's so important, and especially with the way the world is now, we need more artists. Artists probably one of the most subversive groups of people out there. That's why people are afraid of them. So I want to see more artists out there and not being afraid to make their art. So look forward to seeing you guys' comments. Glad you all joined. You're all amazing, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.